Today we're talking about the findIndex method and tackling the Day 20 challenge of the 21-Day Coding Challenge by Lighthouse Labs. So yesterday we used the find method to find the first value of an element that passed the test. Today we're using the findIndex method to find the first index of an element that passes a test. And with that brief explanation, let's take a look at an example. Given an array of numbers, we use the findIndex method to iterate through the elements. Within the findIndex method, we pass a function, myFunction, that checks the current value to see if it's greater than 18. If it is, it returns true, and the method returns the current index. If it's false, then it moves on to the next element. To quickly recap, both find and findIndex return the first element that passes a test. The find method returns a value, while the findIndex returns an index. And with that, let's tackle the Day 20 challenge. In today's video, we're expected to complete 4 functions, 3 of which calculate the volume of a shape, and a 4th which takes an array of objects containing shapes and calls the previous 3 functions to total the shape of an object. The first function we'll tackle is sphere volume, as in calculate the volume of a sphere. A quick Google search reveals the formula 4/3 pi r cubed. I'll code that now and point out that I accidentally coded 3/4 versus 4/3. Notice I create no variables here. The function is doing one thing and one thing only. I make the calculation and return it directly. Next is the cone volume, pi r squared, multiplied by the height over 3. Once again, I use the direct return statement and no variables. Onto the prism volume, which is the base times the height, or in our case, height times width times depth. Finally, moving on to the total volume. I incorrectly take all 3 functions, call them, total them, and return them. Instead, I need to take the object solid, iterate through it, determine which functions to call, and add them to the return volume. To correct this function, I create the for loop for solid of solids, and write out the 3 if statements, checking to see if the solid type is equal to a sphere, cone, or prism. I'll also need a variable to keep count of the volume, so I create that and set it to 0. Depending on the type, the appropriate function is called, and the return value is added to the volume. Finally, as I mentioned previously, I correct the calculation of the sphere, test, submit, and succeed. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I'll see you tomorrow.